Hello, you. My name is Lauren Layfield, and this is Your Next Podcast, the show the podcast fans everywhere have been waiting for. Finding a new show to listen to is, let's be honest, tough. There are just so many out there to choose from. And sometimes it can feel a bit like too much admin just to find a new podcast to enjoy. Believe me when I say I know how you feel. So that's why I'm here to do some heavy lifting for you. Every week, I'll bring you the first episode of a brand new podcast that I have tried and tested, ready for you to just get stuck straight into. Plus, if you follow Your Next Podcast, more great suggestions will appear in your favourite podcast app. You'll automatically create a fail-safe list of 5-star shows to pick from. So no more scrolling. Not today, Satan. This week, the show I'm recommending is The Overshare, hosted by Gemma Atkinson. It's a show that's not afraid to dive right in at the deep end. So if you're the sort of person who is better at big talk than small talk, this is the podcast for you.
I had naturally big breasts, but my mum and my sister do. And my boobs were always big. And then I lost a lot of weight very quickly. And obviously everyone knows boobs are primarily just fat, aren't they? And a little bit of muscle. Yeah. So my boobs and bum disappeared and I ended up with like golf balls in socks.
The Overshare really goes there on difficult subjects, tackling questions like, will I love my second child as much as my first? Sharing parenting fails and discussing how to deal with things like grief and toxic friendships. Gemma is such a brilliant choice of host for the show too. She's really relatable, she's trustworthy and open, and I love how she disarms her guests into opening up. It's a very companionable listening experience.
No guy's worth it anyway. unless it's Tom Hardy, I'm not changing for anybody.
Yeah, there may be an exception to the rule, Bradley Cooper.
Oh, thank you so much for joining us.
No, thank you.
Episode 1 of The Overshare asks whether we can ever be happy with our bodies. It's a big one. It's a question with an answer that probably changes on a daily basis for most of us, and something Gemma herself has no doubt been reflecting on during her recent pregnancy.
So this is it then. It's here. Welcome to The Overshare. We've spent so long working on this, from the first thought to the name to the topics we want to discuss, and we're really, really excited about what we've got coming up. It's a very different project for me, which makes it all a bit nerve-wracking as well. I'm hoping you'll like it, and hopefully you're going to stick with us for the journey of Series 1. It's called The Overshare, and we really hope you find it a little safe haven away from the chaos of life to lose yourself in some hilarious, often upsetting and sometimes very shocking stories from real life. And there's not a celeb in sight. You'll be pleased to know these are real people. They're school-run mums, the people who've been cheated on, people who've lost someone, who have just got to get something off their chest or make us laugh ourselves silly. They're basically your neighbours or your sister or your best mate, and they're all about to overshare like never before. In this episode 1, we're talking about our bodies. Why we sometimes love them, why we loathe them, why are we constantly messing about with them. We asked for your stories on changes you've made for the better or for the worst, and we got such a variety of stories back, so thank you. We were filtering through them all and we had loads. It's much appreciated. Now, in every episode of The Overshare, we're going to have an expert on board to help us make sense of it all, basically. And the one joining us today is the wonderful Abby Blaze. She joins us. She's a life coach and a dating expert, and you'll be able to hear quite a bit from her throughout the series. Coming up in this episode...
You could see my boobs come in the room before you could see me come in the room, basically.
If I was with a guy, the light had to be off because I didn't want them to see. But obviously to strangers in a bra and top, oh, she's got lovely boobs. But it's how you feel when you're on your own, in your own body.
What made you think that he wouldn't be interested?
Facebook pictures can be deceiving. When you see me in person, I probably don't look the same.
Anyone's name tattooed, it's got to be a no-no for me, because you can't guarantee, even family members, you know, at some point or other, they're going to piss you off. Do you know what I mean?
Before I was 14, I had these 30H boobs that were just absolutely crazy.
So our first guest, welcome to the Overshare. It's the lovely Amelia. Hello.
Hello, how are you?
We're good. Thank you for joining us. Now, I believe you're just down the road. Are you in Manchester city centre?
I'm not in the city centre. I'm about a 12-minute train ride away.
Tell us about your story then. Take us back to the beginning.
So, I had a breast reduction when I was 21. I was a 30H. I'm a 32E now. You could see my boobs come in the room before you could see me come in the room, basically. They were huge. I'm 5'3", so I'm quite a tiny person. I started growing boobs at 11, like everybody does. You get excited about it. It's like, yes, I'm becoming a woman. Went to M&S with my grandma before high school, got fitted for my first bra. And then before I was 14, I had these 30H boobs that were just absolutely crazy. But I had back pain, neck pain, and everybody was just like, we can't actually do anything for you because of it's your boobs at the end of the day. We can't do anything.
Do big boobs run in your family?
Well, my mum's got a good pair, but they are smaller. Like, she's probably a C, that kind of... My grandma doesn't have any at all. She always says that it skipped 2 generations and I got just her share as well. Definitely not 30H.
Now, 30H is a massive, massive size. And it's technically, you always assume, well, a lot of people assume if someone's got massive breasts, then they're a bigger person. But you being 5'3", you're very petite. So I suppose...
Yeah, and I've never been over 9 stone either. So I've always been tiny, tiny, tiny. And that's where I think my back pain comes from because, well, I know that's where it comes from because it's just like a crazy imbalance.
And it's bizarre, the different reasons for boob augmentations. I had my boobs done. I was like 22 and I'm now 38. So a long time ago. I had naturally big breasts, but my mum and my sister do. And my boobs were always big. And then I lost a lot of weight very quickly. And obviously everyone knows boobs are primarily just fat, aren't they? And a little bit of muscle. Yeah. So my boobs and bum disappeared and I ended up with like golf balls in socks. So I had mine done because I lost confidence in how they were so for me, I was like, I want them back to being big again. Because it makes me feel like myself again. But I've got broad shoulders, I'm 5'9". So it was more in proportion. But then on the other end, there's people like yourself who are in agony with a big bust. And I imagine, especially as a young woman, there was a lot of unwanted attention from the opposite sex or older guys thinking you're older than what you are.
It would be, say, weird stares on holiday, like the people around the pool, on the beach, like thinking, oh my god, this 14-year-old's walking around and she's had her boobs done. It's like, that's not the case at all. Or you get really just horrible people just going up to you and just thinking that having a touch is fine. It's like, absolutely not. It is. I've had that twice where it's like people just think, and I'm not trying to get mine out. Like I never wore like revealing tops because I always wanted to conceal them. But they were there. You couldn't not tell that they were there. And people would just take it upon themselves. It's like, no, that is not okay. It's not okay. And I always felt like I was being, as you say, like, they make you kind of who you are, but they also come with so much stigma around them because obviously boobs are so sexualized, which I think that's also why it's maybe harder to get a breast reduction on the NHS. And it's kind of like seen more as a cosmetic procedure rather than it needs to happen to help somebody's health.
I imagine, Abby, that's like a psychological pain that's associated, not just the physical back pain.
Yeah, and also you don't want to be your boobs, do you? Like you said about it taking over your like identity. It's like we're more than boobs, but when like obviously when you have something that's different from like maybe like the average, their attention is drawn to it, and that must have like a huge impact on your mental health. Yeah,
because I remember at prom, I was in my dress, I felt so good. And then there was this guy that I'd probably spoken to twice. We weren't friends, hardly knew each other. But it was at the end of the night when everybody was getting pictures taken together. And he says, oh, I need a picture with the girl with the boobs. And it's like, I really tried my best at prom to conceal them. And then for somebody to say that at the end of the night, I was like, oh, is that what I'm going to be known for in high school? Like the girl with the boobs.
I mean, how did you feel the day of your surgery? I'm assuming it's a pivotal moment. You know it's going to be done. I'm assuming you were excited. A little bit nervous, maybe?
I think I'd waited that long and I was so excited. Nerves only hit when I was actually walking through the surgery doors. when I was signing all the papers, having conversations with the surgeon when he was marking up like a drawing on my breast where I was going to make the incisions, I was just so excited, like beaming from ear to ear. Me and my mum were like playing One Direction, having the best time. It was just such a great experience. That was in December last year.
It obviously won't matter to you because you've had a reduction anyway, but the thing with, if anyone's listening wanting to get bigger breasts, I remember when I went for mine, the surgeon said to me, are you hoping to have children one day? I said, well, I don't really know. And he said, because they will change. You know, the breasts they change month to month anyway, don't they, with your cycle?
Oh
and
I
said, no, it's fine. And he did it. And from breastfeeding 2 babies now, and from them going massive in pregnancy to back down to normal, they don't look anything like what I paid for anyway. Do you know what I mean?
No.
They're back to golf balls in socks out of a bra. So I'm glad I got to enjoy them in my 20s, you know, when I was more bothered about them. But what advice would you give Amelia? Because obviously if you went private, was it expensive?
Oh my God, yeah, I'm still paying for it. And it's a massive debt. It's not something that we took lightly. It was loads of conversations with me and my dad and my mum. But it was one of those where it was, I want to enjoy going forward. I'm only young once, so get it done, be confident.
Thank you so much for sharing your story, Amelia. I'm gutted I've not actually seen your mum because I would have loved to have seen her boobs. She sounds fabulous. But no, thank you so much, and thank you for oversharing with us.
No worries, I love to overshare. Have a fantastic day.
And you, thank you.
No worries, see you guys.
Our next guest is Amy. Amy, welcome to the Overshare. Now, we had a lot of stories through about gastric bands. There was lots of split opinions on them. Some were all for it, some weren't. Tell us why you decided to have one fitted, because I think a lot of people will relate to your reason.
Well, it's 8 years ago now. Someone from school got in touch via Facebook. I hadn't seen him for many years. And he's very, very into fitness, whereas I've not been. So I didn't think he'd be interested in me as I was. So decided to take a drastic step and have a gastric band to try and lose weight.
And this was all to impress the guy on Facebook?
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. Is that a common thing, people wanting to physically alter their appearance for someone else?
Yeah, maybe not necessarily for one particular person, but a lot of people will like work on themselves in order to, you know, increase their odds of finding somebody that, you know, is aligned to them. And that might involve, you know, making little changes. But I'm just wanting to check, Amy, did he contact you first on Facebook or did you contact him?
No, he did contact me.
Which might make you think that he was quite happy with the way that you were because he made contact with you. What made you think that he wouldn't be interested?
Facebook pictures can be deceiving. When you see me in person, I probably don't look the same, maybe.
Yeah, I get that. I have friends who they'll only take photos from certain angles, and because they don't want to be seen like as the full body and this and that. And I always say to them, yeah, but we've so much more to offer. I know it's easier said, and I understand, Amy. I mean, I had a baby 8 weeks ago, and with this second pregnancy, I put on 3.5 stone. I had so much water retention. Everything was inflamed, and I felt shocking. And people would say, "Oh, you're pregnant. It's normal." But when you're so set on wanting to look a certain way or being used to a certain way, I completely know what you mean in that it doesn't matter what anyone says of, oh, you've got a lovely personality, but you've got a pretty face, but you're funny. You think, piss off. I don't feel like that. I feel like when I look in the mirror, I'm not happy. And it's the same for so many people.
You look at things online constantly. You're constantly bombarded with images of people who look perfect, and they don't even look like their own images. And I'm not criticising anyone for posting different types of pictures and all of that, but the way that the world is now is that we're just bombarded with these images, and it's really, really difficult as a human being to not make a comparison between yourself and someone else and feel like, oh, I'm not good enough.
Was the gastric band a success?
No, it's made me quite ill. I can't eat normal foods because I'm sick. So the only foods I tend to eat are what I can get away with eating, which is things like chocolate because it doesn't upset my stomach. So obviously I can't get the weight off because I'm constantly eating sugary type things, because crunchy type foods, which is how it's supposed to work, is if you eat crunchy type foods, when it goes through the band, it should be making your stomach feel like it's full. But they just end up, I feel like it's stuck in my throat and I have to be sick.
Was this gastric band done privately or on the NHS?
No, it was private.
Do your family and friends know about it? Did you keep it quiet or?
Nobody knows, only my mum.
Oh, Amy, no wonder that you feel the way you do, because it's hard enough going through a surgery, but to do it, not have anyone to speak to. Do you know what I mean? Because I'm assuming, well, I know there'll be people listening saying, oh, thank God she said that, because the same things happened to me. We had a lady on, another lady message us about a gastric band. And obviously you're the one who's made it to the pod, but she had a similar story in that it worked, but only for a short term. And then she's back and she's bigger than what she was and she feels awful. Mm. So I know you will be helping a lot of people by sharing your story.
And that's exactly what I wanted to do, because it's not a quick fix. It's not a solution. I'm on waiting list on NHS now to get it out so I can do what I wanted to do and diet and exercise properly once it's gone, which is what I should have done in the first place, obviously. But hindsight's a wonderful thing.
And with the guy who got in touch on Facebook, have you had any more contact with him?
Yeah, we're still in touch, but it's just friends.
And I guess feeling like you feel, do you go out a lot? Do you socialise a lot? No,
not really. I think it's hard as well because growing up in my teens and early 20s, I was size 8. I was very, I could eat whatever I wanted, never gained weight. And then I was diagnosed with a medical condition. The drugs made me put the weight on. Didn't matter what I ate, I was gaining weight. And so that was outside my control as well. And I think in my head, I know what I used to look like, and I felt confident then. So I can't seem to regain my confidence in the current body. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It makes a lot of sense. It's a bit like you having your boobs changed again.
Yeah.
Because of you knew what they were before.
I hated the way they looked. And in a bra, they looked fine. But it'd be the whole kind of, if I was with a guy, the light had to be off because I didn't want them to see. But obviously to strangers in a bra and top, oh, she's got lovely boobs. But it's how you feel when you're on your own, in your own body. I think it can be a dangerous cycle, especially when, like you said earlier, Abby, we're bombarded with how we're supposed to look.
And that changes as well. Like, it's nonsense, because if you think about it, it used to be very, well, this is my take on it. When I was growing up, it was very almost like pro-anorexia, like very
Kate Moss look.
zero, skinny, Paris Hilton, Nicole Richie, that kind of type of very, very lean.
When they said nothing tastes as good as a skinny feels, that was awful. Yeah. And then it went to the whole, the Kardashians now, where they want
big boobs,
big bum.
Yeah.
And it'll change again.
And also now I feel like there's a lot of, this is probably just says a lot about me because it's on my discovery feed on Instagram. I'm quite into fitness, and a lot of the stuff I see is very much like, this is what I used to look like when I was like not eating enough, really lean. Now I eat loads of protein and I lift weights, and this is what I look like now. And I think that in a way it's positive because we're moving towards, not being super, super skinny, but also like, we just shouldn't be needing to have these conversations. Yeah. And also there's a lot of stuff on there where people like fat shame or skinny shame. It's like, none of this should be going on. We should just be left alone. I just wish that we were all a little bit less judgmental.
How long is the wait for it to be out?
I genuinely don't know.
So your advice to anyone listening who's thinking of having a gastric band would be to avoid?
Absolutely don't do it. It's not what you think it is. They sell it to you very differently when you go in for your consultations. It's not the right way to go. It's not the healthy way to go. thanks to you, Gemma, because I follow you on Instagram and I see how sensible you are in your approach to exercise and nutrition and everything else. It's really turned my mind around to how I see it.
Oh, thank
so
you.
I'm feeling so much more like it can be achieved now.
Oh, no, thank you for coming on. And I was just going to say to you, like, with regards to the band, I always think money would be better spent on people getting help with nutrition and with a PT. And I know it's extremely daunting for some. You know, I get messages of women wanting to go to the gym, but because of how they look, they don't want to go in the gym. And I always say, but going to the gym, everyone's in there for the same reason. It's like if you go to the hairdressers, everyone's in there getting their hair done. Do you know what I mean? So no one will be like, for anyone to say, oh my God, look at her trying to better herself, trying to make herself healthy. Like, they won't do that.
No. This is something called the spotlight effect, which is where we think as human beings that people are more focused on us.
Yeah.
Whereas actually when you're in the gym, well, for myself anyway, I don't know how it is for other
They're
people.
focused on themselves in the mirror.
I'm focusing on me and I'm thinking about my body.
The guys,
I'm not looking at anyone
especially
else.
look at their own bodies, don't they, in the gym?
Flexing and taking selfies. Before you go, Amy, I just wanted to add something, which I don't know whether it will bring you any comfort or not, but it might make you realise that you're very much not alone. According to the Mental Health Foundation, only 21% of adults are satisfied with their bodies. And according to the British Social Attitudes Survey, 26% of women have felt disgusted with their bodies in the last year.
Oh my God, that's quite a sad stat, isn't it, when you think... Because no one should feel like that about themselves. That makes me sad, especially I think when you're a mum, the thought of any of my kids feeling disgusted about themselves, that makes me quite sad. Can I ask, we've got producer Matt, from a man's point of view, Matt, obviously you're happily married with children. Your wife, in your eyes, is always lovely. If she was to change, put weight on, lose weight, does it bother you?
I think it would take a while to notice, first of all, but no, of course it doesn't. And you change as well.
I was going to say, I don't know any men, again, apart from Tom Hardy, who've aged like a fine wine. You guys get droopier and saggier in places too.
We lose our hair, don't we? Go grey. We're all a mess.
That's the thing. That's why they always say to marry someone whose personality is better than their physicality, because when you're both like in your 70s in your armchair, you're going to want to have a laugh, not look at a six-pack. Yeah.
Exactly. And we all want to be loved for our intrinsic qualities, not our external packaging.
Yeah. You want them to say, oh, she's a real fun girl. She's a laugh.
But she's attractive, my wife. She's attractive.
Oh,
her down.
I've seen her. She's beautiful. And they've got beautiful offspring as well. But in 20 years, you won't look the same, will you? No. Imagine Gorka still salsering when he's like 60 odd. He
might be. I can see that.
No, not on my watch, he won't. Oh, well, no, thank you so much for coming on, Amy. And no, I really, really hope that you get it sorted. But in the meantime, yeah, just keep doing things that you personally find make you feel good. Even in the morning, looking at direct sunlight or getting up and having a pint of water, kickstart your metabolism, and, you know, little things that make you feel good about yourself. And do it for you, no one else. Because no guy's worth it anyway. unless it's Tom Hardy, I'm not changing for anybody.
Yeah, there may be an exception to the rule, Bradley Cooper.
Oh, thank you so much for joining us.
No, thank you.
So we also have lots of WhatsApp videos and voice notes. They go through to producer Matt. He loves them, especially the videos.
I can't get enough.
One of them was from a lady called Kim. This is Kim's story.
Hi Gemma, it's Kimberly, but I prefer Kim. So yeah, I met a guy in 2002. Was together a couple of years. Thought it would be a really nice gesture to have his name tattooed on my lower spine. Had a love art put on my back with his name. And then in 2016, I found out he was cheating on me. He'd been cheating on me for 15 months. Got another lady pregnant, knowing full well that I couldn't have children myself. So we split up. I'm now left with a tattoo on my back that I either have been told that I need a rather large tattoo to cover it up, or have very painful laser tattoo removal. I'm now with a wonderful guy who is not impressed that I have this tattoo still on my back.
Well, do you know, there's a thing I always say, and it's obviously no use to you now, Kim. Anyone's name tattooed, it's got to be a no-no for me, because you can't guarantee, even family members, you know, at some point or other, they're going to piss you off. Do you know what I mean? But my advice to Kim would be to go for the laser, because I've had laser tattoo removal on my lower back. I had, it wasn't a name, it was a little angel. Well, it was a fairy from the Britney Spears album cover. I was a Britney Spears fan, and I thought, I want an angel on my back. So I had that done, which obviously as an adult is horrendous. So I had laser tattoo removal on that. It wrecked, Kim. It really wrecked, but it's short and sweet. Do you know what I mean? It's like laser pain, and you literally they can stop, start, and you have it every 6 weeks. Gorka, when we first met, had his own name tattooed on his back. It was like he was wearing a football shirt. He had Gorka across his shoulder blades, which when I saw it, I said, that's awful. And he was like, oh, I know, I hate it. So he had it covered, and he's got now his full back tattooed. And he said covering over the old ink was really, really painful. And the tattoo guy said to him, well, it is because the skin's already damaged. So a tattoo on an old tattoo is going to be painful anyway. So rather than just cover it up and potentially mess it up, just get it lasered, because the laser does really work. I had 6 sessions on mine and it's completely gone.
I wanted to get a tattoo of like an infinity symbol or a feather and like my mum's initials or something to like memorialise her.
Yes.
After she died. And I'm glad that I gave it a bit of time to make that decision, because I thought, well, maybe I'm not in the right mind. And I'm glad, because now I'm just like, why would I have done that? I don't need that to remember my mum.
To remember them, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think with tattoos, so I mean, I had mine done in Magaluf. It was in a little, like a hut outside BCM. So clearly I wasn't in sound of mind anyway. But a lot of people, they do it as, like you say, just on a whim. And it's long to, especially like, I mean, now it's not a fear, but because Gorka's covered, I say to him, if there's ever a time when Mia or Tio say, can I have a tattoo? I will say absolutely not, because I've had all of mine lasers apart. I've got one on my neck that I left just because I can't see it. It doesn't bother me. But I can't say no to them because their daddy's covered. So how as a parent would you like stop your kid from doing something that you've already done? When it's physically there to see, they can say, well, you've done it. You did it. It's going to be tough, isn't it, for anyone who's desperately trying to not have their kids do the same as them?
Yeah. But I suppose that's the thing, is that your kids have to learn from their own mistakes, not necessarily your mistakes. And also, even though you might regret it, like nowadays it's more common to have tattoos, and like the younger generations are less fazed by tattoos anyway. So in the past there'd be like a lot more stigma to doing it, and like our older generations are much more judgmental. So it probably doesn't matter as much.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't think of it like that. Now it's just kind of like, yeah, whatever. They've all got them. Well, our next guest is Megan. Thank you for joining us, Megan. You've got your Christmas jumper on. I have to point that out. Megan is dressed for Christmas, which I love. We had quite a lot of tattoo stories through, but yours comes with immense complications. It's like a roller coaster. Tell us what happened.
So I got together with my now husband in 2011. And 2013, I got a tattoo of his name, Liam, written on my shoulder. And we had our ups and downs, and we were a bit rocky, but we ended up having 2 kids. After we had our second kid, we broke up for a while. So I got it covered, and the only way to get it covered was to put this little bird on it. It looks like, I think it's a swallow, I'm not sure. I don't know the bird.
It's got wings.
Yeah, so I got that done, and we got married last year, and I decided to get the name put back on, but not in the same place. I've now got it on my chest instead.
So you had Liam tattooed on your shoulder, you split up, you've changed it to some breed of bird, but then you've got back together. Has he got any tattoos of your name?
He has now. He didn't at the time of the first tattoo, but when I got the second tattoo, he did.
How did he, do you know, you got back together with him after you split up. How did he take the news knowing you'd replaced his original tattoo?
I don't think he even noticed. We never talked about it.
Does he know that you've got his name back?
Yes.
So he's not totally unobservant.
No, well, when I got it back, he got my name, so it was kind of like a mutual thing then.
Not to put a negative on it, hopefully you stay together, but God forbid, if you ever split up again, would you have it covered, or would you just think, no, just put a cross through it?
No, I think because it's the initials now, it's LA. 2 of my children have the initials LA.
Oh, so if you split up, you could say, I just went to America and liked it.
Yeah. Or you could always just date people with the same name for the rest of your life.
Yes.
It narrows your search down, but it's it might be a good thing. Too much choice is never good.
I can use it again, so that's fine. I'm not worried this time.
And we were saying earlier, my kid's dad, he's full of tattoos. So if they want tattoos, I can't really say no. Would you be up for, if your kids come home and said, Mum, I want all the tattoos you've got, would you be up for them having tattoos?
100%. My 15-year-old daughter, we went to Spain and she got her first tattoo in Spain.
Oh, really? What did she get?
She got a wee mental health symbol on her hand. We've all got it now. I've got it, my husband's got it, and she's got it. And when my children grow up, the other children, I think they'll get it too. It'll just be like a wee family symbol now. Oh,
well, thank you, Megan, for sharing your story. I'm glad we've had, like you say, a positive tattoo story. You've made tattoos sound fun again.
Thank you.
So up next on the Overshare, as we discuss bodies that we love and loathe, we have Heather. Hello, Heather. Thank you for joining us. You've had an amazing weight loss story, haven't you? But take us back to the start, because you've obviously come out the other side, but you really struggled to get the help you needed. Is that right?
Yeah, I was struggling with my mental health. I was suffering with depression. Immediately was put onto antidepressants. They did put me for group therapy, but that didn't personally work for me. I ended up taking myself off the medication cold turkey. And I was never asked why. I was never asked why. I got completely, obviously, a classic case of getting like lost in the system.
The amount of people who say to me, I've been to a doctor or a medical professional and said I'm feeling down, and they've given them tablets without first saying to them, how much exercise are you getting? How much fresh air are you getting? How much social activity are you getting? And what are you eating? And I guess with the tablets, I mean, in some cases, a lot of cases, the antidepressants are needed and they will work. But there's always side effects, I think, to any medication you take, even if, the contraceptive pill or, anything like that, there's always going to be some kind of side effect. Whereas a walk in the fresh air is free. How long were you on them for, and why did you decide to come off them?
I think I was on them for the best part of a year, and I came off them because I went to the doctors for a routine check. So she was just running through, and she says, like, your blood pressure's a little bit high for your age. And then she says, but you are overweight, Heather. And I knew I was, obviously, but she informed me I was overweight. And I said, well, what can I do about it? Whilst I'm on these tablets, I'm overweight, what can I do about it? And she said to me, you can either be fat and happy or skinny and miserable.
Oh, my God.
And I thought, okay. And I just thought, I'm just going to be on a merry-go-round here. I'm just going to be stuck. And the thing is, I was on these tablets, but I was like a zombie. Yeah. Yes, they were antidepressants, but I felt nothing. So I didn't cry. You could have had a go at me and I wouldn't have felt nothing because I was just like a zombie. That's not living, in my opinion.
No, and the whole fat and happy or skinny and miserable, how about just healthy? you could just be healthy.
Need to be either or.
Yeah, you could just, eat 80% what your body needs, 20% what you want now and again, your pizza, your chocolate, and get out there.
Well, that's my ratio. Yeah, I always just do sort of 80-20. I've never done a diet in my weight loss, so I've lost 11 stone 7.
Wow,
and,
that's like another whole human.
Yeah, it's
that's
crazy.
Amazing.
You just keep chipping away. Thank you. And I've just done counting calories and just eating 80-20. Just what's right. I hate it. The term bad food, good food. It's all about balance. Yeah. It's all about just being healthy and mindful what you put into your body, because what you are what you eat.
Yeah.
If you eat rubbish, you feel rubbish.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
What I would say is, if you came off the pill, the doctors would be sending you messages and they'd be on your back all the time. But if you come off antidepressants, they don't even notice. Why is that?
I guess, Abby, coming off medication safely has to be at the forefront, because I've done what you did, Heather. After my birth with Mia, I wasn't on antidepressants. I was on really strong pain medication because I had a hemorrhage in an emergency section. And the pain medication I was on made me feel I didn't even feel safe holding her because it made me feel dizzy. I just wasn't myself. And I just stopped taking them because I thought I'd rather have the physical pain in my scar area than the mental whirl of where am I, what's happening. I've just had a baby, but I can't do anything. And the doctor I rung them up and said, I'm not taking these anymore. They're not right for me. And they kind of said, okay, it's up to you, but wean yourself off them. But I didn't. I just stopped as well. And I'm assuming that's not great to do, but...
I'd say not. I mean, in Heather's case, it's obviously worked out really, really well. And she's found... You've found something that's helped and it's worked out. But for some people, it would be dangerous to just stop your meds. So I think if I was like advising people more generally, I'd say speak to your doctor and come off your meds slowly. I think it is a bit alarming that they didn't follow you up, Heather. I feel like you have been let down a little bit there.
The fact that you took that into your own hands, your body's the only place you have to live. You've got to look after it, whether we like it or not. We have to look after it, and the better you treat it, the better it'll treat you back, especially, later in life. Because people always go like, well, I eat what I want, I smoke and drink, and I'm nearly 90. But it's the quality of life. Like my granddad, God love him, he was an amazing granddad. I bet the best granddad ever, Granddad Norman. But the last 6-7 years of his life, he lost both his legs. He had a stroke. He couldn't communicate. So he was just sat in a chair. And it was because probably, he smoked about 50 a day. Back then, they did without bothering, didn't they? Whereas now my stepdad, so my kid's granddad, he's 75. He plays football with her. He's on his hands and knees. He's on the trampoline. So it's not necessarily the length of your life. It's the quality. And that comes down to, two fundamental things ahead of everything else, and it's nutrition and moving. That's all it is. And you're not a PT.
You've got to look after yourself.
Are you a PT? So you help other people. And I guess the good thing about that, if I came to you as a PT, the reason why I would believe in you and know that you have my back is because you know what it feels like to be on the other side. When you go to a PT who's been slim all the life, you think you've no idea what it feels like.
That's what I'm doing with my clients. I've been there, I've done that, I've got the T-shirt, I know what it's like. It's not easy, but it's a way of life that will change your life for the better, mentally and physically.
I think it's awesome, Heather's whole story, and I'm a real advocate for exercising. But I think there will be some people sat there thinking, oh, I've tried the exercise thing and it didn't work for me.
Yeah.
So for those people, I'd say that's pretty normal. And whilst exercise is a great tool for mental wellness, it could be something else that's causing your feelings of depression. So it could be, Heather, you've added actually another element that's quite good in terms of you've got work that is significant to you, so you have meaningful work. So if someone's in a job that they hate, no amount of exercise is going to change the fact that they hate the job and it's making them depressed. So when you go to the doctors, the first response probably shouldn't be, let's put you on medication. No. It probably should be more, and maybe there's just not time for this because there's not the resources, but it should be more of a, let's explore what's actually happened to you in your life because there's a reason for this, and it might be coming from the environment or the way that you live in or something that's happened, or you don't feel significance, you're worrying about the future too much, or, something's happened, and maybe exercise would help. I find exercise hugely helpful. So
you really saw them hormones that
but
just make
maybe
you feel
other
good.
Things need to be addressed too.
Yeah.
So don't give up if the exercise doesn't work.
No, keep trying.
Try out different things and speak to a therapist as well if you can. Obviously, it's one of those things that, if you can get it on the NHS, but there might be a long wait list, and it is a bit of a luxury to be able to afford therapy.
Thank you so much, Heather. Congrats on your journey. I think it's fab. 11 stone.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Thanks,
nice talking to you.
Thank you so much to our guest today who dared to come on and talk about their bodies. I know it's daunting. Abby, thank you. We'll be seeing you again, no doubt. And don't forget to leave us a review and store our details. You can WhatsApp us on 07761 039 898, or you can email us at the Overshare at bowermedia.co.uk. That's the Overshare at bowermedia.co.uk. And if there's anything you'd love to hear us talk about, let us know. We love having your ideas on as well. The Overshare is produced by Matt Foyster for Bauer Media. And this is just the beginning, guys. There's many, many more real-life, head-turning stories to come. And we'll hopefully see you soon.
I think that's cracking advice. I feel like you've done my job for me, Gemma. I can just sit here and relax.
To make sure you don't miss out on any of these big conversations, search for The Overshare on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, or wherever you find your podcasts. Once you've tapped follow for that show, don't forget to do the same for this show too, so you can always find your next podcast. All my recommendations from the whole series will be on Podcast Rex at www.podcastrex.com. That is www.podcastrex.com.